So what's going on with SPC around this time?
Man, around that time?
Yeah.
We would, let me see, so that might have been 89.
89, 90.
Yeah, somewhere up in there. Yeah, we was coming. We was fully formulated. All the pieces was in place. The foundational pieces.
So at this point, who's all in now?
At this point, N.I.P was with us. Kat was with us. Murder One was with us. AC Chill was with us. Dopey, Egypt E, Deuce, all of the different entities from different sides of South Park, we had just come together some kind of way because, like I say, me and N.I.P had a big battle in '87 that brought Jones and Sterling together. When we had this battle, we developed that mutual respect where it was like, you know what, dude, I mess with you, you know what I'm saying? So all my people and all his people, because of us, the two heads, we was like, we together now. So that took the South Park Coalition to another level. Rapper K, who was original member, he transferred from Sterling and went to Westbury. When he went to Westbury, he met Dope E, who was with the group C.O.D at the time. Rapper K called me and said, man, I want you to come with me to my homie's house. He got some equipment. I want you to help me put this song together. I go over there, it's Dope E. First dude I ever met in my life that had equipment, had drum machine, keyboard. This dude making songs in his house off of cassette, double cassette, just rigging it up, but it sounding good. And this dude making beats, first dude I ever met that made beats. And I'm like, yeah, I think it stopped. First dude I ever met that made beats, and I'm like, man, this dude making his own beats, man. So me and him clicked immediately. So when the Real Chill thing phased out, he came to me and was like, man, I want you to be in C.O.D. You know what I'm saying? So he's like, man, come be in C.O.D. with us. And I was like, I don't know, I'm still trying to be loyal to my guys, But I was like, man, that had ran its course. So I joined C.O.D. in like '88. I joined C.O.D. And we started a whole nother journey. Yeah.
So I mean, Gangsta N.I.P, when is, because he's the one who jumps out and gets the deal.
Right.
So what year is that? It was like 91?
That was 91. He was, the club I was telling y'all about earlier is a club called 808. 808 and Infinity is the same club. I just don't remember which name they was first. But whatever name it was at that time, that was our hangout before Boomerang. That was the club we went to where we wrecked the shows, and we was like the little ghetto celebrities up in there. And N.I.P who had developed that horrorcore style, man, that psycho style that he do, and nobody was rapping like that. It was only one guy rapping like that with N.I.P, and that's a guy named K-Rock Def. They was in a group.
Do you know where that comes from? Because that's some of the wildest.
It came from N.I.P.
You know what I'm saying?
Man, we never heard nothing like that before.
Yeah.
It's like, when I battled N.I.P, I'm like, man, what is this dude?
So he talking about taking your head off and all that shit in the battle, yeah.
N.I.P told me in that battle, N.I.P said, man, I'll snatch a vein out your arm and use it as a shoestring. Ooh. He told me that in 1987. So just imagine you hearing that for the first time. So I never heard nobody rapping like that before. People try to debate. They say, well, there was guys like Esham and Brother Lynch and all, respect to them. But for my documentation, from what I saw, I'm hearing this dude rap like this in 86 and 87. You know what I'm saying? And that's who he always was. So he's the originator in my eyes.
Did he bring the horrorcore to Rap A Lot with the early style and all that? Was he want to bring that over there?
Look, Rap A Lot at that time, they had the Ghetto Boys, of course. They had, I think Mello and N.I.P might have came the same year. Dopey and all them signed with him the same year. Dopey came through N.I.P. And but nobody was rapping like that. The song that Bushwick did, the Chucky song, N.I.P wrote that.
No shit.
Yeah, N.I.P wrote that. Chucky blew up. Like I say, Rap A Lot.
That was on the radio. That was a single and shit.
Right, they made a radio version to it, but you hear the real version of it. Yeah. But those of us who knew N.I.P, I was there when he wrote it. But the thing is, even from a distance, if you just somebody who was a N.I.P fan and had heard N.I.P, you know that's N.I.P. It's like that's N.I.P. That's N.I.P all over the place. But they had heard N.I.P and they was like, man, we gonna get this guy to write that Chucky song straight up.
Yeah. So I mean, what they over there, they all that Rap A Lot and everything. Is it a reason why you didn't sign, or were you just kind of always on some? I want to be, independent.
That was me. See, when you talking about '88, now we South Park Coalition at this time. I'm with C.O.D. So we was working with a guy that had put us out. He had a little money. He was putting us out. We traveling. We doing shows.
Where y'all traveling to back then?
We going, when I say traveling, we going to Louisiana, Beaumont, little spots in Texas. We wasn't going
Chicken Circle.
Yeah, no question. Yeah. So the thing was, at that time, Nip and AC Chill, they were in a group together. But they weren't on a label or nothing like, so they would come where we come, and they was like our dancers. You know what I'm saying? Straight up. Gangsta N.I.P and AC Chill, they was our dancers. But because, again, you going back to the 80s, you following that trend. Everybody had the dancers. You know, Big Daddy Kane, Scoob and Scrap and all them, Heavy D had it down. We going with the trends. So Nip and AC danced for us, but on the same token, they were still working on their stuff at the same time. So when Nip was rapping in Infinity, in the club Infinity back in the day, Face came to the club one night. And Face heard Nip and was like, man. Face brought Jay to the spot, and they signed Nip on the spot. They was like, man, we got to sign this dude. You know, Dopey and the Terrorists, they came in through Nip because the C.O.D. thing had ran its course and through with the other guy we was with. Yeah. And Dope and Nip, they signed and Rap a lot at the same time. So that's how that happened. So Nip's album came out first, and he featured us on it.
Right.
We had a song called Rough Brothers from South Park. It was me, Nip, Dopey, and Point Blank. And that's the first album from the South Park Coalition to have worldwide distribution. And we got featured on it. So now, by the time I decided to leave the group thing alone and go solo.
And this is what year? You talking about, it was 91, 2?
91, I was in limbo.
Yeah.
Because the C.O.D. thing ended. Dope was for Rap a Lot, Nip was rapping. So I'm in limbo right now.
Yeah.
So I went back to my dad. I was with another lady. I went back to my dad, and we was like, come on, let's crank it back up. So we cranked it back up, and I put my first solo album out in 93.
What was the name of it?
That was Stories from the Black Book.
Yeah.
Wait. So
does the Black Books go all the way back then?
The Black Books go back to high school, straight up, because that's the origin of it. When I was in school, I ain't carrying no regular books and no homework and all that. I carried a black binder because my mama used to work at this little office, and she used to bring them home, the little black binder. That's how I used to get them. And I would write my lyrics in there. You know, you think I still did my schoolwork, but if you open my folder, it got rhymes in it. You know, so that was the origin of that. So by the time I had graduated by then. I'm 3-4 years out of high school at this point. So I just named my album Stories from the Black Book. And we went on the road to promote the album in 93. And by the time we went on the road, because of the fact that Nip and Dopey had already put out records through Rap a Lot that we was on, it was easy for me because I'm in Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Florida, Georgia, and all these people already know me.
Independently.
Yeah, independently because they had heard me on Nip.
Right.
So it's like we in the record stores, and it just made it easy. It made it easy for me.
Damn, that's a hell of a way to start a solo career.
Yeah,
man.
I mean, it was cool, you know, because like I say, they laid that foundation, and it's just like in the Master P days. Master P would come out and he would have all his people featured on the song. If he got Fiend on the song and nobody heard Fiend, what's the thought process? Man, when his album coming out?
Right.
Yep. When is Mia X? When her album coming out? So that's how it was for us back then. It was like, who this Point Blank dude? When he coming out with something? When K-Rino come? Yeah, it's just a springboard. It helped to promote us and get us. It gave us a good boost. By the time Blank dropped his album with Big Time, by the time I dropped my album back with my dad on our new label, it was easy.
So you said that your next album came after Point Blank?
When did Blank drop?
Because that was like 93. Some of the Howard the Blanks and all that?
No, this before that. Blank dropped his first one in 92. He was with Big Time Records, same label UGK,
right,
Russell. Right. And I think mine came out the year after that. But we was out at that point. All of the main members of the SPC, we were all on different labels. 2 groups on Rap a Lot, PSK 13 and Blank on Big Time. 20 to Life came later, got on Big Time.
20 to Life.
Me and my dad had our own label. We had Electric City Records and doing our own thing.
Yeah. Okay, so Tell me, because you saying Screw was, he was an early member of the SPC. Now we in 93, 94, the Screw movement is going on. What's the relationship around that time? Or
we didn't know it was happening.
No shit.
That's the funny part. Me and Murder laugh about that all the time because we was popping in the streets. The underground, we was good. I mean, I'm literally selling 30, my first album might have sold 50,000 records.
No
you know what I'm
shit.
saying? We going through Southwest Wholesale and all that. My second album might have sold 25 or 30. It's a dropout, but still 30,000 records at $8 a pop. Yeah, independent. I mean, life was good as far as just what we were bringing in. We still made a lot of dumb mistakes with the money, but at the end of the day, we didn't know that the Screw movement was developing like that. They was making tapes in the house and all. We didn't know that was going on. We found out that was going on. Murder tell this story better than me. I wasn't there, but Murder say one night he just didn't have nothing to do. He went in Boomerang. Let me go in Boomerang and see what's popping. And when he walked in there, he said it was packed. He's like, man, what's going on in here? He said he saw Kiki and Pat on stage just killing it. And he's like, who are these dudes? And so he was like, who are these dudes? Now, fast forward, around that same time, it used to be this spot over there out South Main called Stadium Bowl.
Stadium Bowl.
And they started doing shows in there. At one point, they were doing rap shows in Stadium Bowl. I go in Stadium Bowl one night, because by this time, I'm hearing the names now. Yeah. I'm hearing Kiki. I'm hearing
Wait.
Pat.
So you didn't Fat Pat go to Sterling? No?
Fat Pat went to Sterling. Now here's the story. Now look, I'm hearing the name Fat Pat ringing all through the streets. Like, yeah, man, Fat Pat, we were jamming that Fat Pat. I'm like, who was Fat Pat? And I went to Stadium Bowl one night, and it's packed up in there. I mean, it's like it was hot with no air, like Negroes in there like sardines up in that bad boy. So I'm saying, man, what's going on? Man, Fat Pat just did a show up, and it was over with. I got there at the end. So
and this is what year? This is like 95 got to be somewhere up in there.
I can't remember, but you're probably right. I can't remember. Whatever it was, I'm going in. When you get there late, you still kind of want to get in and just absorb a little bit of it. Yeah. But everybody coming out. So I see Pat come out, and everybody like around him like, yo, Fat Pat. So I say, man, you Fat Pat? I'm not no Patrick Hawkins. Yeah. Because we sat in home ec together, and he was class clown. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm going to say. How was Pat? Because I always hear about Fat Pat having this big personality.
He was class clown. Look, Fat Pat was rapping when we was at Sterling, but he was playing. He wasn't doing it for real. Fat Pat, the dude, he in the class just beating on the desk, acting silly, cracking jokes, making everybody laugh. In my mind, I'm rapping for real. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got time to do all that. He just class clowning. I'm writing raps for real. That's how I'm thinking. But he had that personality. He had that little aura about him. So when I seen him, I'm like, you Fat Pat? And he's like, yeah, man. I'm like, man, this is crazy, man. So that's when it started growing. That's when it hit us that like, it's some new cats coming up. You know what I'm saying? They doing their thing,
Yeah. So, because I remember Point Blank, and every time I hear Point, I just think about High with the Blankster. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that whole Screw thing. So that shit was tied in from back then.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because Screw had to get the credit for that because he was universally loved and connected to everybody in the city. Everybody messed with Screw. In particular on the north. Now the north side, the second wave of the north side hadn't developed yet. But if you talk about UGK, they mess with Screw. Yeah. Street Military, they mess with Screw. South Park Code, we mess with Screw. So it wasn't uncommon for Screw to be the link. So because when Screw started making them tapes and putting them out in the street, now it's like, man, we got to get the Screw so he can put me in the mix. Because Screw could literally have you hot overnight. He could put your record in on one of them tapes. You hot overnight. He one of the last DJs in Houston that actually broke records. Right. And he did it in his own way. If you land on that Screw tape, it is something that's good, you gone.
And it wouldn't just be like hit shit. Like it's certain shit like Mr. Mike and like certain records I just know off of a Screw tape, man.
Screw played the stuff he liked. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Boys got popping, got familiar with C.O.D real heavy out here because C.O.D was one of his favorite artists. Yeah. So he played the stuff he liked, but he still would throw you in the mix if he messed with you, or if he gave everybody a shot. But yeah, man, he was the common link in terms of that. I was always slow to move because in my mind I was like, man, I'm gonna just do it how I do it or whatever. So I landed on a couple of screw tapes, but I didn't land on a lot of them. You know what I'm saying? You say with hindsight 2020, look back then, I'd have been at his house every day. You know what I'm saying? But it's just the fact that was.
Did you take it for granted? Because it's like, this somebody I've been knowing. He kind of doing his thing. I'm doing my thing. It ain't really.
Yeah, well, like I say, in the beginning, I didn't even know. It's like, man, it's like a pregnancy. You know, you're not gonna know a woman is having a baby maybe in the first 2 months.
Yeah.
You don't even know. It's like, well, the next thing you know, it's like, hey, man, she pregnant. Like, what? You know, so by the time you realize it, it's developed or coming in so strong. So by the time I found out, and I found out it was Screw, I was like, salute, because that's my guy. But I still didn't look at it. It wasn't my thing. It wasn't my thing. But I was like, when I seen how they was doing it, I said, man, that's freaking genius, man.
Yeah.
Straight up.
You mentioned street military. Can we kind of break down the SPC tree and just how far that goes and all the artists connected to that? I mean, down to zero, everybody. You know what I mean? Everything
is connected because we met Street and them in like the early 90s. You know, we knew Icy because Icy's old school like us, you know what I'm saying? But the other guys in street military were a few years younger. So Icy around my age, but KB was 16, 17 years old. Pharaoh was 16, 17 years old. Flea was slightly younger, and Nut was slightly younger. So we knew Icy. Now what happened was Kat started messing with street military, you know what I'm saying? So Kat was with us. So Kat messing with street military, and I'm like, who are these, you know, these young cats that Kat been recording with and doing their thing. So all that early street military stuff, Kat all over, doing hooks, spitting rhymes and all that. So that was our connection through Kat. So it all tied together because somebody was with us was with somebody else.
Right.
Yeah, but street was like, so it was like, well, y'all SPC too.
Yeah.
You
So
know, they had Killer
SPC,
Clan. Killer Clan was they clique, you know, with Bam and Faculty and all them. But
that was like a Mo City thing, right?
Yeah, well, no, not really, because look, I tell people this all the time. Street military was ahead of the game because of the fact that they was the first group to have members from almost every side of town. Like KB from Trinity Gardens, Flea from Mo City, Pharaoh from South Park, Icy from everywhere. Icy lived in Highland Clark, 3rd Ward. So you got all these neighborhoods, and this one group got all these neighborhoods encompassed in it. So that was like unique at the time, but they wasn't tripping on it. It was all about the music. And Icy was the core because he made the beats, he constructed the song and arranged and composed and all that, put scratches on there, and the dynamic of having all these different styles was just like with South Park Coalition. Because what we would do, we was known for the click song. Everybody in the SPC was understood. It was a rule that at the end of your album, you put a click song on there with everybody on there. Even if it might not have a 4, might have 15, might have 20, but we got known because we put, so you would hear all these different styles just coming in back to back behind each other, and it set the stage.
Yeah, man. Okay. So what, let's go like mid-90s, you know what I'm saying? What's kind of going on with you around like that mid-90s era? Because at this point, the screw shit is like full bloom. You're talking about 96, 97, 98. So where are you kind of falling in that mix?
I mean, we were still good because I wasn't dropping albums at the rate I drop them now, or the rate I've been dropping them in recent years. In the 90s, I put out 3 records in the 90s. The whole decade of the 90s, I put out 3 albums. I put out Stories from the Black Book in 93. In 1995, the end of 95, I put out Danger Zone and sold a lot of records. I signed with a record label from in Washington, D.C. in 1997 and put a record out with them. That deal, that went bad. That was just a bad decision.
Tell me about it. What happened with the deal?
It was a friend of ours that had been working with us since Stories from Black Book. He was real good in promotion. He had worked with, he had promoted with Tupac and Tony Braxton. He took all Digital Underground. He took all them groups on the road. So we came across him and he took us on the road. He basically taught me everything I know about just the business part and how to market and promote retail and all that stuff when record stores were popping. But when we came across him, years later, he knew a guy that used to work at this other company named Ed Strickland, and Ed came across this cat that had a disability. Something happened to him at birth where it was the hospital's fault, and he won a lawsuit for like $20-some million. So what he wanted to do, by then he 20-some years old, but he in a wheelchair. He wanted to start a record label up. So Ed called Gary, who worked for us. Gary contacted us and was like, man, this guy want to sign K-Rino. And I'm like, what you mean sign me? I ain't never been signed to nobody. But they was coming with conversation that I was like, me and my dad were like, we need to see what they're talking about.
You talking about money conversation?
Yeah, money conversation and resources and the ability to say, this guy worth $20 million, the promotion gonna be sick. And that's really was my main thing. I'm like, okay, we get some money from them, that's cool, but I'm looking at the big picture like, if they can put some weight behind us, we gonna be gone. So the mistake, the problem came in was because he assigned another individual who was working for his label to be over my project. And that dude,
he ain't understand it.
Oh man, you know, my dad, I wanted to kill him, but
tell me about it. What was going on?
Well, here's the deal. What it was is that the first time we met him, he flew to Houston. We first had to meet, had never signed nothing. So we sat down. He didn't know my dad was a gangster. So he sat down at the table with us. We met at this hotel. We sitting across the table, and the guys explaining to me, you know, why they interested and all that. My dad's sitting right here, but the guy being real disrespectful because it's understood that me and him, we together. He's my CEO, even though he my daddy, you know. So he asked me a question, and before I could answer, my daddy said something. And man, I wish we had like social media back then, bro. And the dude told my dad, he say, well, my dad ain't Larry. He said, Larry, this really isn't about you.
Oh man.
And you can't really know the impact of that unless you know my old man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like when he said it, I did this. I was like, this meeting here over. And I promise you on everything, man, we in a hotel, so my daddy doing everything he can to restrain himself because I know him. My daddy's finger was probably 1 millimeter from this dude's face when he leaned across that table like, man, let me tell you something right now. He said, the one thing we gonna do, we gonna respect each other. And he looked, I saw the guy's eyes just get red and start just watering on the spot. He was shook. He picked his drink up and the ice was rattling. He at that point he knew, you know what I'm saying? So after that, the relationship was the same because this dude was so intimidated that he didn't want to, you know, deal with my pops no more. It was funny to me, you know.
So y'all still went through the deal even after
we still went through the deal because we worked through the guy in the wheelchair after that. Even though we still had to deal with that guy, but we made a phone call like, look, man, we ain't messing with him. And they was like, well, how can we fix it? We still want y'all and blah, blah. I said, that's cool, but we not messing with him, you know, because they told us, they said, man, look, we're going to use $250,000 just for your marketing promotion alone. So I was like, cool. And the guy was like, that's guaranteed. But he set it up to where the other guy was the one who
fronting the money.
We had to go through him.
Yeah.
And we never understood why this dude, we was like, man, we let's get this going. Let's get these radio commercials, these TV spots, let's get it popping. And he would never, well, just hold on, let me see, we got to prove that and all that. And we never understood why till we found out later that he had a gospel group that he was trying to push, and he was like, no, we're going to use that money for what I'm doing. You know, so I don't know if I should say this on the podcast, but we fixed him. You know, we fixed him. You know, we took care of him. Right. You know, he got his mind right, and unfortunately, we the people that we did like that was at that label, they had to be casualties in a way, you know, based on some of the ways we handled it. Because I'm like, dude, y'all don't understand.
Can you talk about some of the, I mean, this shit sound interesting. You talk about some shit?
Yeah, okay, well, that's cool. I mean, you know,
I mean, it's old now. You talking about
the statute of limitations.
Yeah.
All right. But anyway, I'll just go into a little bit of it. But what the deal was, they gave us some bread up front or whatever. But at the end of the day, we had a falling out over creative differences because I always been used to doing my albums the way I want to do them. Like, I'm going to do this the way I want to do it. I'm not used to the label.
You had an A&R and all that type of shit?
Where I submit my project to you, and then you listen to it and go, yeah, that's cool, but we're going to take this one off. I need you to change the hook on that one. I don't like the way she's singing on that. I wasn't used to that, you know, because what I hear in my head, that's what end up on the project. So the guy started doing that. So I submitted 16 or 17 songs to them. They chopped like 6 of them off. So now to an artist, you messing with my creativity now. You mess with my creative process. I'm livid out after that. I'm like, man, I can't do nothing with these guys. I said, okay, you know what? That's cool. They went behind my back, started reaching out to some of my producers. All my people I worked with was from here, was my people. And they started going behind my back because I told them I'm done. I'm shutting the project down. Y'all didn't get nothing from me. Y'all didn't work with none of my people. They started contacting them because they had paid some of them previously to get the production. So they had numbers on them. And they'll reach out and try to work with them in other ways and different things. And my people come right back to me and tell me, hey, man, your folks called me. I'm like, oh, really, what they say? And they tell me what they say. I said, okay, you know what? That's cool. So I came up with a little idea, man. I said, you know what? This is what we going to do. Because they don't want to come out no bread. They don't want to release no funds for promotion and marketing. Hey, what's up, bro? What's up, bro? Check this out. This is what we going to do. I got some tracks. And we going to submit these tracks I did. And we gonna say you produced them. And we gonna say you charged $7,500. You know, I ain't gonna say nothing else about that. But yeah, but in a nutshell, you know.
Yeah, they bought them records.
We played the game. Yeah, we played the game with them. But they ended up letting us out the deal because I had signed.
Did they ever figure out what was going on with the shit?
Nah. Yeah. They, you know, man, look, Houston is the home of independent grind. So they don't even fathom those types of dimensions and that's basic, you know what I'm saying? But they it's the hustle, man. Yeah, they didn't conceive that. Yeah. So I don't play the game like that. That's not me. I'm not dirty. I'm not shady like that. But when you get dirty with me, now all bets is off. Now we finna play this game this kind of way, you know. But nah, they let us out the deal, and
this was what year?
This was '97.
Yeah.
All this went down, and they ended up. They owned the project because I had signed, so they released the project in '98. And if you ever see my catalog, and if you just see all my albums, if you go online, you're gonna see one album that just a plain album cover with my name across it. It's a black as that TV, but across the front of it, it's like a little brown stripe, and it just got my name on it. That's because I wouldn't take no album cover picture for it. That's the album I did. They're like, can you send us the album? Nope. Y'all figure it out. So what they did, they took a lot of my people off that I had, a lot of my SPC people, and they was plugging in people from out there, putting them on my record. So when I heard the record, some of the songs I ain't recognize. And they broke it down from 16 tracks to 10. And I don't put no album out with no 10 tracks on it. You know, so they did that, and they whatever it made, it went to them. But I got out the deal, came back to Southwest Wholesale in '99. I put No Mercy out in 2000, and me and my dad, we was back doing it how we do it.